Добрый день, уважаемые друзья, добрый день,
Good evening, dear friends, dear participants,
слушатели, гости.
and listeners and guests of the first meeting of the Club of Strategic Initiatives, as we were announced, Ideas and Growth Points. It's time to sum up the anniversary 15th International Business Week, and I would like to say that we won't sum up the results, we will build the bridge into the future. So we opened the first meeting of Club of Strategic Initiatives that was created by the initiative of the Republic of Bashkortostan, but we need to say that we would like to change the format of the platform when such clubs are created. So the task is to find the platform for the dialogue between business and authority, and different people understand it differently. That's why the Club of Strategic Initiatives is the platform where we want to learn to solve issues, first of all. And in order to solve them, we need to highlight them. So the aim of the club is to sparkle people, sparkle the entrepreneurs of the Republic of Bashkortostan, so that we have one common aim, we're moving in the same direction, and to build the bridge into the future. So the format of this meeting is not really standard. It's an open microphone, so for someone it will be a kind of a stress test, because being on the stage alone with a microphone is not really comfortable, and I would shorten my part a little bit, and will tell you a few words about the structure of today's meeting. We plan the major track that we formulated, shortening the investment cycle. So we're planning to finish at 18:30, so we're moving to the work, and we discuss the first track that is in top today, not only on federal agenda, but in the agenda of the Republic of Bashkortostan. And Republic has a very ambitious task. Vladimir Putin ordered to provide the shortening of investment cycle by third by 2025. So it seems we have a lot of time, but in Bashkortostan, according to the order of Republic, this has to be done in the mid of 2023. And right now we have the mid of December, so let's say in half a year. So I would like to know what has been done over this time and what we have to work intensively on, and I invite to our open new microphone Deputy Minister of Construction and Architecture, Artyom Shov. So please. The microphone is on. Can you hear me? Yes. We agreed that it will be a discussion, but right now it's like in a school. We're going to the blackboard, right? It's not comfortable to me to sit, but okay, you can be standing. Yes, we have an order of the president, of the head of the republic. We have a lot of norms and regulations of different ministries, so we're moving forward. I won't take all the information that Minister of Economy will tell us and other speakers. So, shortening of terms. We have a certain procedure that has all the grounds of all the cycles. It doesn't matter whether it's building, construction, production of raw materials. We all understand what procedures we need to go through. When we faced that for the first time, we implemented the program GIS OGD. It's a geo-information portal that comprises all the urban construction documentation, and we need to put it in order. In 2020, we received the second pilot. We were the first in Russia that launched first 5 services through the Unified State Portal of Services. The 2020 was quite hard. Till 2021, people refused to work in this system, in this transparent system, where person applies to according with a certain type of documents, and within 5 days he gets the service, or he doesn't have the service. Why they were against this devilish system? Because everything is new, is difficult, and people didn't understand that by spending half a year and some time to understand the system, you don't need tons of papers. You just need to open the laptop or computer and they felt kind of a discomfort, and they rejected it. But when the municipalities launched it, we saw the shortening of timing. We have less refusals, because when we have an open checklist, and if your municipality refused for some ungrounded reason, we start understanding that there is kind of an issue of a human factor, what it gave to us, really. In 2020, so yeah, let's speak about the urban building. It's a very popular topic. The changes of the subject. It speaks about the investment attractiveness. When we just entered this project, we rendered 600 services. In 21, 2,100, and in 22, 3,000. So it means that everybody is working in this system. All 63 municipalities work in this system. They work in it, and when we launched it, the system was more like a formal character. So people applied in an electronic way, but at the same time they received the paper document. But right now, in all 63 documents, people receive the documents in their personal account with electronic signature. So we stick to the terms that are set by the federal government. And for many constructors, it's the permission for the commissioning, and that question requires more papers, and it was a bit harder because the portal didn't work at once. It needs more documents, and when all these constructors entered the portal, they start uploading the documents, and thanks to our colleagues of Ministry of Digital Ministry, we managed to do it. 1,000 we rendered in 2021, and about 2,000 in 2022. It's a dynamic of services. We can see that there is growth of services, and it shows the economic attractiveness. It concerns all the spheres of construction, start from the plant, finishing with some small shop. Where we're moving, what have been done, it's the first initial stage. We will discuss it in the second block. And GIS-OGD, our product, it was developed by our colleagues, GIS Integra company, one of the leaders of development of such programs. And we're happy that our colleagues, our developers, render these services to half the regions of Russians. Our system is in top 5 systems, and we are one of the leading leaders in this sphere in Russia. And Elgir Fanov, in October we took the first place in Russian award Profit. That is subsystems that allow us to work quickly and transparently. So that's about it. A few words about perspectives. It said that 30% of shortening must be done by the mid of 2023. Are you reaching this aim? We nearly reached it. We nearly reached it. So one ambitious aim should be followed by another. What do you think to do next about shortening? Till what limits? We can talk about it. If we look about the terms of rendering state services, I think, unfortunately, there is no sound. The minimum possible limit is 5 days. It could be less. It couldn't be less. We process the application for industrial object, for example, construction. All the items are filled. We have all the papers, but we need some normal term so that the specialist can evaluate this documentation. But when the entrance checklist presumes that they need to enlist 20 papers, and these papers should be checked by the specialist, and he is responsible for that. So the city building plan is a bit difficult. So it couldn't be less, to be honest, but there are some blocks of technological adjournment, giving technical conditions. They presume huge complex of works, not only physical, like the applicant made an application and he expects that in 90 days he will get the piping, for example. But he doesn't think that this, for the canal company that does the piping, it needs to go through 50 different procedures. So it's not only when we as a state render some service, we also have to cooperate with some other organizations, owners of roads, other enterprises. We need to create our task for the coming half a year and the year is to create the possibility to our resource guys, adjacent guys, to work in the same electronic form in digits and not to go with these papers and to get the approvals or agreements. So we have it today. We state that, but that you receive this or that document, and it doesn't matter what kind of enterprise it is, a state enterprise or Gazprom, they sign this paper for 200 days. There are cases for 500 days. In services, we came to the minimum possible terms, and right now we're analyzing other services that require some additional requirements, not to the business, not to the constructor, but to the legal entities that render services for them. So it's very important for us so that the services rendered must be rendered in time, and we will not be dependent on document turnover. And for the Club of Strategic Initiatives, it's quite real and necessary moment would be initiative. Who do you want to speak with about it? Whose opinion you want to hear? I want to hear the opinion of colleagues who define the fate of business in the Republic. So it's bodies of management here, Gazprom, Group for the Canal, and they will be soon on this stage today. So we collected practically everything. We know where we're moving it, and we know how to do that. It's a complicated job to digitalize all the steps, every single document. So 26 processes in personal account is undergoing the digitalization process. So it's very important for us to persuade people, because they say for us it's easier to do it in paper, but the correspondence, the paper letter, it takes post to deliver 5 days. Please give the refusal and write what to do to avoid refusals. And what do we have? 60 days, the documents somewhere, and then I remember, oh yes, because I don't know what to do. And when the regulations will be written, and we are undergoing some pilot projects, we see how it goes. If we won't do it, we won't get 30, not 10%, because when we do that, we understand that we'll get minimum 30%. Thank you very much, Artyom Vasilievich. I invite our next guest, Deputy Director of Republican City Building Center, Nail Girfanov. So, please.
Наиль Ильдусович, вот хотелось бы услышать.
Good afternoon, colleagues. We would like to hear the reply to the previous speaker's speech, and I would like to highlight that the task of the club is a kind of a far side where you want to meet with at the next meeting, whose faces you don't see in this hall, evaluate the resources that you have and set the direction for development, and to evaluate and highlight the initiatives that the Republic of Bashkortostan needs. Thank you very much. Yes, I would like to add that shortening to 5 days and less is impossible, because within the framework of many services, there's interdepartmental requests that are regulated on the federal level, and they don't want to shorten these limits. And it means that when you get some application for some service, they make the request and lose 3 days out of these 5 days. So 3 days out of these 5 doesn't belong to you. Yes, so we have only 2 days to prepare the documents, and the analysis of this pile of papers that was sent by the applicant is just very, very low. So we have 5 days, and we need to achieve this, that the average time of rendering service is 3 to 5 to 4 days. If it's the complicated object, so it can be 5 days. So 3-4 days is average. If we speak about another service, we have 14 days according to regulations. So we have 10 to 5 to 10 days. So we're shortening the timing for 30%, and it's an advantage. I have nothing to add because he told everything about the system. The system is implemented in all the municipalities are working in this system. More than 1,200 users of the system, and the resources are working in this system, and we signed agreements of 135 organizations inside the system, such as Gazprom, Bashkirenergo, and Vodokanal, and some smaller size, where there is a chief engineer, director, and an accountant. What concerns the shortening the cycle, here it's a very huge. It consists not only things dependent on Ministry of Construction. There are some parts depending on the Ministry of Land. So, and I would like to have colleagues from Ministry of Lands because a lot of things depends on them. And I would like to know, within the framework, the Ministry of Forestry is also give some licenses. So in the future, we would like to see them as well. Okay, and what about, why did you want to see them? What answers do you expect from them? Today it's an open platform, and you can ask some questions right now that they need to think of answers. First question is about the cycle of construction cycle. So, Ministry of Land Resources, a lot of depends on them. Are they ready to reduce the timing of rendering their services? If yes, then how much? And what concerns the Ministry of Forestry, then within the frame of approving the documentation, they render. They prepare forest declaration, as far as I understand. And are they ready to switch into the process, or they just say, we don't want to work, we will work on paper, it's very comfortable for us, we don't want. Then it means that we will depend on third parties that don't want to work. And they can take this position that we historically got used to working on paper, and digital document turnover is not ours. Well, it was mentioned that we faced personally with 63 municipalities that sometimes made even a sabotage at the beginning. They worked, and I don't exclude this possibility, but I know that everything is in the digit right now, and they could say, colleagues, yes, we are ready to switch into the work, but I don't exclude this possibility. I would say that you have an optimistic sparkle, and some doubts as well. Thank you, Nail.
I'd like to give the floor to the active head of the expertise of the Republic of Bashkortostan, Bulat Yakupov. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. In the field of construction, expertise is one of the directions which is highly digitalized. We went to it for quite long, since 2012, and at the federal level, we had the switch from 2018. Before that, the whole country, the whole regional expertise was using the unified system. Our customers already know that, and we had the switch from this year, and all the expertise is held within it. Apart from that, we have a state expertise and e-format. The switch to the e-format was in 2020. Now, all the XML formats are done there. Also, we have a transfer to ECB format. Now, we have already prepared all the reporting documents, and one by one, step by step, we make this transfer to the new formats. We'll also include the note of explanation for it, and provide all the documentation in e-format. Another way is launching the informational modeling technologies. There was an order of government in all budget companies to prepare the informational models. Here, not long ago, we also had a discussion in VDNH exhibition center. We discussed what are the problems of designers and customers. These issues can be solved, and during the discussion of our roundtable, I'd like to speculate with our customers and our constructors, which questions do they have while designing and construction. What about your partners? Do they apply or share claims, or you suggest that they have some problems? Maybe they are happy and satisfied. We thoroughly work with our constructors. Right now we have the transformation of the Expertise Institute and the way that we transfer to the expert supervision. It was implemented the previous year at the stage of construction. Right now we have prepared a draft law for the planning. So designers, constructors and customers could address even before the construction, and our experts would provide consulting for the customers to share the problems and also to find solutions at the step of planning. Thank you very much. The first situation is quite clear. Let's go to the second case. I don't like this word, but technical attachment to the units. When you ask businesses whether they have any issues, the case of attachment is one of the first or among first, because the terms of attachment, the terms of joining are quite long. Here they need some complex solutions. I'd like to invite the first Deputy Minister of Industry, Energy and Innovations, Timur Alexandrovich. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. As for energy and electricity, you know that we have everything clear. Not long ago, we had to reduce the terms of provision for our services. We have a special law of the Russian Federation which regulates these activities. According to it, the terms of joining should not be more than 120 days. As a result of the previous year, we had 40 days. It's one of the best practices among all the regions of Russia, which was notified just because the work conducted was quite thorough. As for further reduction of terms, at the level of ministry, we have prepared two algorithms with resource providers. First of all, it's technical joining of nets up to 150 kilowatt. Here, everything is operating clearly just because you could reduce it even less than 40 days. The second category, more than 150 kilowatt. Here we have some complications because we have individual approach, sometimes even individual project. Here, maybe would be needed more time, especially for the centers, power centers. Here, everything is quite individual, quite personal. If the average temperature for large businesses with higher powers, we have the terms for 36 months. We plan to reduce it two times. So the tasks are clear, the order is clear, the algorithm too, but it's very personal. And it's a semi-automatized work. Thank you. That's all. Thank you very much, Timur Alexandrovich. I believe that there would be questions from your colleagues and partners with whom you already work. And right now I'd like to invite Yuri Paltusov, the Deputy Minister of Housing of the Republic of Bashkortostan. Good afternoon, respectful participants of the club. We have an up-to-date name, club. I remember when you previously came to club, you have to pay. Yeah, we also have two other up-to-date words, strategic and initiatives. The Ministry of Light Conditions, they work with water supply, energy supply, and light supply. It was fixed by the two main laws from federal laws. They are adopted in 2021. These legal acts were very detailed previously. We didn't write all the measures of communication with providers and owners who can assist in provision of water, light. As for terms, we have up to 150 days. It's the highest, the biggest term, if there are any ways to reduce it. As for the previous year, we have 60 working days for water supply and the same amount for, as a result, for 2022, we have 40. We have reached the stake of 30% by July of 2023. We accepted the algorithm where we put in detail the duties of each organization. We organized a calculator where the potential investor could follow the link, look through the website, choose the power, and count the price for it. What else did we do? We adopted an order where we reduced the terms of supply, as according to the law, when we had it only 7 days, we reduced it to 5 days. As for agreement for 30 days, we reduced it to 20 days. That's the way how we would reach our goal, 36-45 working days. That's the perspective we need. As for discussing the highest goal that we have is 20 working days. Of course, KISS is assisting us. We are standing for digitalization. We support it. Ministry of Construction also work with us. Nowadays, 70% of industries, of companies are working with them. And we hope that the ministry would help us and will create a digital agreement. We'd like to use the digital turnover. Thank you very much for a brief speech. I would like to understand, please, could you answer, what is the interconnection with the terms of implementation? Does it depend on the doesn't depend on any factors. So we have a technical regiment up to 36 days, but the highest is 56 days. If you need to initiate the changes in the investment program and then confirm it with some authority or institution, get the payment and do the events on reconstruction and provision and supply of energy and water, so you need to do it. Maybe the next meeting of the club you'd like to see your partners or correlative companies with whom you have some questions to solve some problems maybe. From my opinion, the best partner is the constructor. They could show what do we do wrong. We meet each hour once in a quarter and try to learn their needs and what, from their point of view, is unsatisfactory. Recently, we received the info that the constructor has built the net, but he could not provide the supply. They understand the terms, but there are some problems in supply. So you need a feedback from the constructors, yeah? Why don't they contact you? Maybe they are shy? No, they contact us, but it would be better if they give the critics. I hope that the Club of Strategic Initiatives would provide you critics that you need. I'd like to introduce another person. As for criticizing,
So it's a half of the solution, right? Well, it's very dangerous to criticize, especially with the cameras on, right? Yeah. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I thank all the organizers for participating in this event. As it was mentioned before, the investment cycle, the procedure of adjoining to the engineering networks takes a big share, and electric networks are located in this field, in this share, and the activity, as it was mentioned, is connected with adjoining the water connections and sewage connections, and electric networks is regulated by a separate order. It's the rules for technological joining, and in typical situation there is no there are categories of applicants who await for the joining, and for each category there is a certain normal terms. And I won't cite the order, a decree of the government, but I would say that what is changing in the past, not the procedures, not the agreement procedures. It's all obvious and quite optimistic. It's not the longest procedure in this cycle. There is difficulty connected with different kinds of approvals and agreements. Till recent time, on the whole territory of the Republic of Bashkortostan, the full cycle of getting the license in optimal way, and we don't speak about the complicated objects. It's not objects more than 5 megawatts. When we speak about construction of new centers for catering, the terms they're not fit in any optimization procedures, because it's federal norms, and in order to build a catering center today, you need to go through approval and permission procedures and it takes roughly 2.5 years. And I'm speaking about something that is more interesting for small size and medium sized business. It's a category of joining to energy consuming equipment from 15 to 150 kilowatts, from 150 to 670 kilowatts. Until recently, the set of procedures in order to get the permission, documentation and approval and agreement of other packages of documents constituted around 96 days. It's only to get the order for land works. In order, like an experiment, we joined through the approval from the agreement Rubin that was integrated in the Republic of Bashkortostan, in the capital of the Republic, in Ufa. And the procedure, the approval procedures right now, we have the result already, and in 24 days. So it took 24 days. The reduction, the total reduction of all procedures is done in 4 times. We expect that the system of approval of the permission documentation that is pending the integration and implementation in the Republic, as we see, will substitute the Rubin in Ufa. So there will be unified system, and it will give us the same result on the territory of the whole region. And there, if we will go to 24 working days, then it will be very close to the target indexes that we need to focus up to 12 days. But of course, right now I don't mean the terms, the timing for agreement of all the papers, the schemes of going through the cables, tracings with other persons. What I was talking about, it's all connected with the crossing and application of neighboring and other resource-giving organizations, and everything that is connected with municipality and state and Republican property. Because the third parties, it's a separate topic, and answering your possible question, who I want to meet next time, I would like to meet with third parties, and just to look into their eyes. To find the third party and look into his eyes, it's a task for the next meeting of the Club of Strategic Initiatives. And Sergei Vladimirovich, if we look at the situation, I do understand that you, as a person who works constantly on the ground, you understand clearly the limitations and obstacles people have to face in the field of optimization of investment timing. But if you look at the story counterintuitive, so to say, how can we achieve the result? What do you think? I practically named it. We focus on, due to automatization of these processes to get permissions, to reduce, to shorten only for preparation stage 4 times. The rest is the physics, the construction, the creation of the technical possibility for joining. Its term is applied with all resource-giving organizations. It's quite clear, and in our company we optimized these processes already, and interrelations with the contractors, the purchases, but there is no limit for perfection, and we will move in this direction. Thank you very much. Let's write it down. To find third parties. Sergei Vladimirovich, thank you very much. I would like to give floor to Albert Raufovich Lukmanov, General Director of Gazprom Межрегион Gas Ufa. It's managing organization of Gazprom Gas Spread Ufa. How do you see the situation?
Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. And again, for third parties, we accept applications. What concerns our activity, I will speak on behalf of the network organization and resource supplying organization. We consider the full cycle, living cycle of objects that our applicants and customers are building, or investors, it doesn't matter how they call them, and starting with the design of the object, taking into consideration the technological joining to the networks, construction works, including commissioning on our behalf, and the exploitation of the object itself, that what concerns the exploitation of gas equipment, supply contracts, payments for gas, calculating volumes and so on. So it's all implemented in one full cycle, full life cycle of the object in our registering systems. Every single stage is traced and monitored, every single paper. And also we have the unified personal account of the legal entity that is registered at the application process. And we can have individual entrepreneurs as legal entities, and we support the applicant and the consumer from the very beginning till the very end. And what concerns the systems of cooperation with electronic system of cooperation with applicants and consumers, as I mentioned, we have the unified personal account, which is very detailed for legal entities. And if we, besides, in the part of natural persons, we implemented the cooperation through the multifunctional centers and through the Gosuslugi portal, through the portal of Unified Operator of Gasification. I don't have the full information, full scope of information, but we speak about to implement the mechanism of joining through Gosuslugi platform. So for you to understand, it was named that during this joining we perform on two sides. First, as a network organization that conducts this joining, and secondly, for us, it's the same object of construction inside your big construction site, where we need to go through the same processes as for major object that is connected, but some things are a bit different since it's a linear object, and 1.5 years ago it was permission for construction was abolished, and that speedifies the process, the technological of technological joining. But practically we perform the same things during the design, geoworks, approval with the neighboring organizations, and so on. As I mentioned before, all these processes are implemented in our companies. It's around 800 workplaces. So for you to understand, this year we processed around 35,000 applications. Half of them went through the electronic means of interaction with our applicants. And what concerns the work of SIRTS, here what we would like to see here, as I mentioned before, as other customers, we would like to see rendering of full set of municipal services in a digital format, in electronic format, including the provision of electronic document turnover, if it would be an instrument for interaction with our applicants. So its possibility of electronic signature, that would be much more useful for the final user, and it would be maybe kind of a, it doesn't matter what kind of interface it will be. What is more important is it should be friendly for use, user-friendly, and I support the idea of Sergei Vladimirovich, because even though we, between organizations, we have contracts concluded for limitation of, for a reduction of terms, we didn't expect for the unified turnover of documents. Did you lose hope? No, we don't lose hope. We know that the process is going on, there are a lot of questions really, and it's quite complicated because really every single network organization has its own rules and regulations that you have to into account. Because when we speak about the giving technical conditions, but according to the order of decree, we have to conclude the agreement for the technological joining. But if it's the electronic interrelation, it requires the electronic signature. So the question is, we discuss with the Ministry of Construction. They know, they're aware. We are aware of all the processes. We participate in it, but we believe that together the system will, if we work together, the system will work in full scale, and we can connect all the participants that must be in this process. Alberto, which I would ask the same question as it was mentioned before. Who do you want to see on the next meeting of the club? Who do you want to see into the eyes? Maybe third parties, maybe to speak with the constructors. Do you need the truth? I need Minister of Finances who finances this project. Okay, so we will invite Minister of Finance for the next meeting. Another question. Let's plan that we meet with you in 1 year, the same hall. What result do you can you call normal? Perfect. The normal result would be if maximum organizations would be covered and maximum services covered that we use or our applicants use, but the perfect result would be if it would be electronic document turnover that we can use. It's strange every time that you are on some events, there are not people who are against of electronic document turnover, but all of them say that there are these people. Thank you very much.
The next speaker would be General Director of Ufa-Водоканал, Alexander Ivanov, as we talk with all suppliers. Good afternoon, dear participants at the club. Of course, I will not talk about legal sphere and legal documents. On behalf of me and my enterprise, we conduct active policy in the sphere of reduction of terms for supply, for joining the objects. Nowadays, we try to reach the reduction and collaboration, unification, and concluding the agreement release in up to 20 days. But there are some casualties which prevent us from reducing the terms of connection, because it's about people, about joining the nets where we need to notify the users beforehand. And together with the builders, we discussed the crucial problems which we have nowadays, also with the responsible ministries like Ministry of Agriculture, and within the framework of providing the nets with the ministry, with the association. We also work with the association of developers. We want to listen to their opinions too, and as for digitalization, we see future in it. Now, Ufa-Водоканал net is working in a test format. As for CERT, we see future in this program, and we're ready to participate, move inside it, and to make everything digital too, especially to use the documentation electronic documentation turnover in order to reduce terms. How do you feel? Which spheres should be highlighted within it? I'd like to hear critics on the topics which exist. Are there Do you lack criticism? Of course, there are no lack, but there are some of the issues which could be solved. For example, reduce terms also to have an understanding together with business and developers.
Взглянуть, опять же, на нашу сегодняшнюю встречу через перспективу
The point, if we'll see the
через год. Вы как результат могли бы назвать
in a year, which result
хорошим или отличным?
would be positive in the work of club? I believe digitalization to reach the level of digitalization provided by digitalization. I think that's all.
Хорошо.
Good.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much
То, что поделились вашим.
for sharing your
Хотел бы
vision on situation.
уже готовились к
We were also preparing for today's meeting,
коллеги,
and our colleagues
как это
conducted
называется, наверное, таинственную закупку
some secret purchase in order to understand how municipalities are ready to work with investors. We have special
предлагаю.
prepared video.
Здравствуйте, в эфире программа «Бизнес-проба».
And today we have a program we chose where it's good to live for our businesses. The residents are prepared to fulfill the task. All the participants should
Работу официального сайта муниципального образования на
check the work of municipal institution to talk with business sheriff and find out if he knows all the information about the
необходимых документов.
platforms, if there are
Всего в чек-листе 2.
supervision of the projects. All in all, we have checklist of 20 points where you can get 100.
Геворг Макарчан,
Georg Makrchan, a young and ambitious entrepreneur,
кафе, а также
owner of street cafes, and also wants to develop business in engineering, communication, construction. Business is experience. By choosing experience, you will earn money. He's got Dovlikano region. Here they have investment section. You can have a look at land spots. The information is a bit old. It was placed on the 29th of June. In order to find the contact of business sheriff, I had to look for his contacts on different portals. And it means that you need to address the personal contact. The business sheriff must give time for me. I must give time for business sheriff. If I'm not mistaken, today in the Republic we have there is a grant. Yes, support, yes. But support is special support. It depends on the sum of investment. On investment sum, yeah? Yes. Can I just consider it as a variant, as an option? The investment must be big. If we speak about, if I'm not mistaken, it's around 50 million, right? Yeah. Checklist. The investor says you can invest here, here, and there. The model of business wasn't studied. Your task of your accountants to do the reports and this and that, but there are some other supporting measures. And you can come to our office for free and get these consultations. We also conclude agreement or contract for consultation that we do, that we provide, and sometimes we get to know them faster than the administration. As an entrepreneur, I would give her a positive evaluation. She found people who has got the demand for that, and she found the symbiosis.
Какие ваши дальнейшие планы по развитию?
What are your further plans for development? We are planning to install the second shock for freezing meat dumplings, increase productivity. On our territory, we are planning to build a workshop for production and baking pancakes. It's a good business model. You can see that it's business. And it was pleasant to hear that our colleagues from Bashkortostan sent to Moscow shops their premium products, and it's cool. It's awesome. Here we do the sewing of footwear. So we would like to large scale our production. We want to hire more workers to train them to our way of building furniture, and we want to make our own shop, big shop. So you want to have the full cycle of production, and you want to have a sales spot. Yes, one of the major factors is the speed of adaptation to new realia, to new information, and it's very important when the authorities give actual information to the entrepreneurs in a fast way. By learning the business media of the Velikanova, I liked it, but it was interesting. But since I went with the analysis purpose, I can't say that I'm ready that invest and open something there. But what I pointed out that it's a fact, and the fact that I want to recommend someone, yeah, it's also a fact. I have a friend who's dealing with glamping, and I would give him contacts of business sheriff, and I hope that they will find the common spot for mutually beneficial cooperation, and they will bring a project out of it. At the source of any successful entrepreneur, there's always a decision, and I hope our results will give more confidence to those who are thinking of making this decision, because it's very important to be inside the market space in proper time and proper moment. It was business medium. We'll see each other later. That was the first business testing, business probe, together with the BST TV channel, since we have not only representative of resource supplying organizations and Republican ministries. I would like to hear from other listeners what is the vision of the Club of Strategic Initiatives seems to your perspective. So please take the floor. You have an opportunity to speak out.
So, while everyone is thinking over initiatives, I'd like to turn back to the results. What we came to in the first half of the day, we mentioned about Eurasian Economic Center. The memorandum was signed in St. Petersburg during the Economic Forum. They talk about integrational project, which includes Samara, Ulyanovsk, and Perm regions, Udmurtia, and the Republic of Bashkortostan. We tried to learn how other regions assess this project, and I'd like to show you the feedback of the representatives from Saratov region. Within the frame of the Volga region and also Russian Federation, a unique project which could consolidate the horizontal ties between the subjects of Russian Federation. Which additional opportunities would be provided? I believe that participation in this center would attract additional investors to our region for our enterprises and more orders for purchasing of goods and production of them, because Samara region is quite strong in agriculture and chemistry and oil chemistry. We count on having not only the check of all the ties, there would be new instruments for growth. We'll get personal support measures, not only tax benefits, but also in the construction of our infrastructure. There would be clarified the additional points of growth for those regions who participated and involved in this process, who signed the agreement to take part in the creation of center, to find additional reserves, also points of growth, consolidate the efforts and create, if not giant cluster, but giant agglomeration of the industrial structures. I wanted to wish success to the regions and promotion of this initiative. As you see, in Saratov region, they have support. We have Irina Nikolaevna here. Could you please take the floor?
Добрый день.
Good afternoon.
Сразу вам рассказать про КИП.
Should I tell you about KIP?
2 года мучает.
2 years, everyone asked me about the regions, but I'd like to provide an example of Bashkir honey. What's the
Что это даст
chain of additional price and what would it give to the Eurasian Economic Center? Let's start from B.
кули? Кто его
Who's the bee? Who provides the hive? What is the package? Who produces it? Where do we bring our honey? Which countries? How? These positions in each chain
башкирский мед
could allow us, for example,
гружать из тех,
to ship back
которые сегодня также импортируются?
products which are also imported.
Второй год, и, к сожалению,
We started the year of 2022, and in all regions of
овощей
which are involved, we see the growth and import of vegetables and fruit, and
направлений.
a lot of other
2 года
directions
экономический центр с субъектом,
are unsatisfactory having this growth.
встроиться в эти цепочки,
And I believe that
тару, в которой нуждается Узбекистан,
we need to start and produce
который
containers
томатный
Uzbekistan needs,
который шел из Германии, и много-много других
and many other directions, because each ministry
свою,
takes
свою
has its own tactics, their own priorities, no matter what the rest are doing. In 2 years,
Российской Федерации.
we
И сейчас как раз
we succeed in consolidation of 7 regions, and right now,
каждый из
sending the application,
того, чтобы
we allow to
регион должен вот
clarify.
плохо было, да, при
We
планировании.
see that the right now regions
Условный закат.
understand that while planning it was difficult,
У нас нету
but before the order,
возникает других.
we should
И вот КИП евразийский
eliminate all the problems. So
обеспечение внутреннего,
it's not only provision the
а и загрузка обратно
enrichment of internal market, but also shipment of products back.
ключевой.
And it's the key problem now. For example, you send to the country and you bring something back, and
Простым языком
this would give the additional pricing.
объектов имеется,
Of course, 7 subjects, they have different economies.
да, что
For example, Udmurtia.
томат Калашников
What do you think over when
от Саратова,
you name this? What about Saratov?
Самару,
What about Samara?
автомобиль и ряд других.
Cars or something? You have your own association. How to coincide them,
Чтобы дополнять друг друга
these different brands, in order to
в рамках других. Почему
fulfill each other?
проще не поделиться
Why,
соседями?
if we
Если, например,
import
животноводство развито,
vegetables we cannot share with the neighboring regions,
можно же наладить. Вот
we could mend
мы занимались
these ties.
и продолжаем и будем.
This was the task we were involved into for 2 years, and we keep up doing it.
Говорят представители регионов,
No secret that when you talk with representatives of the regions,
особо затруднительное
they say that
сотрудничество.
they didn't plan
А у нас
right from the scratch to build the ties.
сможет ли
There could be a lot of problems like
такие инфраструктуры
the road
Именно как раз на
casualties
и пытались найти
to stop them. We try to find the answer for this question just when you try to unify two regions. If the tourist moves from one place to another on his route, he shouldn't
все время
lose the quality. I always provide the example of
объектом.
on-road services of subjects. While moving on your tour, on your route, you'd like to have the same service, the same route,
Экономик.
and
Почему Башкортостан меня
some of the questions are less developed is connected with economy, because
менее сильно,
if the region is strong,
на наш взгляд.
it should help a weak region. This consolidation
А если
took a lot of effort. First question is,
кто заплатит за банк?
who would pay?
платит за банкеты? Вот здесь говорят,
Who
министерство.
would provide money? The Minister of Finance
На самом деле, ведь
is someone who should be seen here. And I understand it just because
министерство,
the field ministries form everything. And we just assess, evaluate
нецелесообразно, и даст ли этот эффект,
if it
то есть который
will bring
и
some effect.
кипи, то, что мы
We just calculated.
мы
Well, we have calculated the effect,
в России,
talking with regions,
пример по муниципальным районам,
as we have already seen the example of municipalities. We have to do it manually, each project.
базы данных,
All the data is old-fashioned, and verification, taking into consideration reality,
ну, на ноябрь уже месяц,
is
сказать,
better. Now we are provided with the statistics of November. We understand what, where, and how, but the regions don't see it. That's the way how we could adjust the project.
не бойтесь,
And I'd like to wish the regions,
да, вот
place the trends, don't be afraid.
что надо создавать.
We struggle for creation something new, because the Ministry of Economical Development, they work according to the state program, national program. They have the example and they follow it. That's the key problem of the subjects. And each strategy for a region doesn't include the experience of other regions. But you should move from one place to another, one region to another. Why do you want to build two similar objects when you could consolidate them and attract investor? Here we have the Eurasian Development Bank, which has some interests in Bashkortostan and implementation of some of the projects. So we find investors who like to see the real models of development. Thank you very much, Irina Nikolaevna. In order to reach ambitious goals, first of all, you need to place these goals. And I see that you have already formulated them, and I'd like to wish you success in it. Of course, there would be some complications.
Сложно добиться результата.
It's difficult to reach a success if you doesn't do something.
Благодарю.
Thank you.